Welcome to the HCW Podcast. This week we're going to be reviewing Friday Night Smackdown, Monday Night Raw, and AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite. So stay tuned, it's going to be a good one. Roll intro.
HCW Reviews.
Hello everybody and welcome to the show. I am your host, Frozzy, as it says on the screen, alongside my friend Rate Wrestle here, who it also says his Twitter handle across the bottom of the screen, so follow us there as well. But how are you doing this week, bud?
Yeah, I'm doing well. As I was saying, discussing prior to this, I played six-a-side football for the first time in years and found out how unfit I am, and I'm a burden to life.
Yeah,
how are you?
I'd say I'm unfit, but I've never been, not fit, if you get what I mean. I've always been unfit. So even I used to play football 5 times a week, mate, and it still did nothing for me.
I'll be back next week, bro. Back next week,
doing it again. But yeah, not too bad really. Just a bit of a long week, but yeah, 2 days off now. So this is the time I always look forward to. Thursday, this time recording, and then I know I'm off for 2 days after this. So yeah, no, all good. You got one more day left, or are you off this week?
I'm off this week. Yeah, I'm back Monday.
Nice.
So next week's football's going to be worse because I don't have a day to recover. I'm back in at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, no, nice. That's not going to work. Yeah, good luck with that. You'll have DOMs coming out your ears. Right. Well, what we'll do is we'll crack on and start off with Friday Night Smackdown, and we'll get straight into it.
Yep. So basically, I don't remember most of this SmackDown. I'm looking at my notes and there's stuff on it. So we kicked off with the Brutes versus Imperium. I rated 3.25 stars. I remember it being pretty decent. It wasn't as good as other alternatives from it, but they didn't have enough of time as they had in the other shows and pay-per-view shows with that. It ended up with the Brutes picking up the win, which was a big surprise. They ended with Bro kick to, I think it was Giovanni. And the Brutes picked up the win. But it was a good start to SmackDown. After the state of Raw, the preview.
Couldn't have got any worse.
Yeah. We were followed by Heyman backstage. He was discussing that, Roman's going to be nearing 1,000 days. Then he was speaking to Jay, and Jay was like, "Have you seen Jimmy? We got to do this." And he was like, "No, there's no Jimmy tonight. You've got to prove yourself." So Jay has walked off really happy that he's going to prove himself, and then Heyman just goes to Solo. If he doesn't fix the problem, you fix the problem. So they still don't trust the Jay situation.
No.
Ricochet versus Ivar, really random match. I don't know if they're still having Braun and Shay as a thing, and this is kind of like a one-on-one tag team kind of rivalry.
Yeah.
Ricochet cleanly beat Ivar, which is disappointing, I'm going to be honest. They need to really do something with the Viking Raiders. Even in singles matches, they should beat someone like Ricochet. Unless they get cheated out of it or something like that, but he cleanly lost.
Yeah.
We had KO Zane backstage. I still don't know a Frankenstein name for them yet. No. Zane, Kevane, I don't know. Zoe sounds like a really crap footballer. Yeah. So they were basically going back and forth, but then Sammy was like, he was going like, "I've got to fight Jay tonight, but I need to speak to him." And then Kevin said, "This is a really bad idea," and Sammy was like, "I still need to do it." We had the team of Livrak, who have lived past WrestleMania, against Nazi, who've also lived past WrestleMania. So I think they're just trying to build the tag team division slowly.
Yeah.
I rated 2.25 stars. Livrak won. It was just another match for them to face the tag team champions on Raw.
Yeah.
Backstage, we had LA Knight and Xavier Woods starting a bit of a rivalry. Woods was basically just taking the mick out of LA Knight, saying, at least I got onto WrestleMania. You did nothing. You've been here a big star. You've done nothing. And then LA Knight was saying the only reason you got on was because of a game. And he went, "Well, at least I'm on WrestleMania." Yeah. And now they're going to have a match next week. It'll be tonight if you're watching the podcast. And LA Knight ends up smashing the controller, which is, to any gaming fan, that'd be really annoying if someone smashed the controller.
Yeah, unless it's you doing it, then.
Yeah.
It's annoying, but because it's monetary value that it's costing you.
Yeah, pretty much. That would really annoy me, though, if someone randomly smashed my controller in anger. Triple H was up next. We're having a draft, and everyone is included. Don't know what that really means. Like, if Roman gets drafted to Raw, he's still going to appear on SmackDown?
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know what it means by everyone's included, unless they move like the US title to Raw or SmackDown and the IT to the Raw or something like that.
Or do you mean like people like Brock, who can just do what he wants?
Yeah, but it is what it is. 2 weeks time or something like that.
Yeah.
Ripley's now the champ, and she's discussing being the champ. Then Finn Balor said, "You know what? Ripley beat Charlotte. I lost to Edge basically, but I'm still here, which was good for you, Finn." And then Dom said that he just couldn't hurt Ray, and that's the reason they lost. This ended up into an LWO versus the Judgment Day match. When did the Latin World Order become a thing? Did just 1 week they became the Latin World Order, is it?
It was the week before, so it was just before Mania.
Did they announce them as like, or did they just wear the shirt and it was like, yeah, they can be called that?
They just wore the shirt and that's what it was.
Okay. I rated 3 stars. It was a very good match. Can't remember the finish. I'm assuming that the Judgment Day won. If you have any results on you.
Nope, I do not remember the finish, but give me a second and I'll go and have a look.
I remember it being a good match. I just don't remember anything like
who won?
Like by the finish of it. Yeah, which is saying that it's a great match if I don't know who fucking won. Yeah. Probably should have.
Yeah, we should have
probably
looked at this before we went live.
Judgment Day did win. I was wrong. Cool.
Right.
And then this led to Jay and Sammy backstage discussing what was going on. Jay was kind of a bit iffy of the whole situation, but then out of nowhere, you heard a screaming Kevin Owens come around the corner. Solo's just planted Kevin Owens on the floor with like a case, which has ended up going over his leg, like hurting his leg, so KO's out of it. Then the main event, Jay versus Sammy. I rated 2.5 stars. It was a bit naff. I'll be honest. I was expecting a lot more from the match. Nothing really happened. Solo interrupted a few times and Sami Zayn lost cleanly.
Yeah, it was very, very strange because I wanted more from this match.
Yeah, especially it's a big match.
Yeah, it is.
And for nothing to actually happen. Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't the worst SmackDown in the world, but it wasn't great either. So no. It was just sort of middle of the road, and it was there. But yeah, we'll move on quickly from that and we'll go into Raw because it can't have got any worse. But we'll
Raw
find out.
Raw was really good. I want to be honest. I really enjoyed Raw. I was surprised by it. Yeah. So we kicked off with Rey Mysterio, who was getting a lot of like main event and like opening showtime, which is really surprising. Dom came out and he was just giving empty threats to Rey Mysterio once again. And he says, "I won't fight my dad," which is the opposite effect of what he wanted to do. And then Ray was like, "Do you need all kind of whipping?" And then it ended with Dom said, "Well, I won't fight you, but here comes Finn Balor." So Finn Balor, the man that's absolutely injured to hell, had a match with Ray. I rated 3.25 stars. Dom ended up getting involved, which ended up with Finn picking up the win against Ray. Yeah. But it was a really good opener, and I was really surprised after I read that Finn Balor's absolutely knackered. And he's still having these matches, but this was because, if you heard in the news, that half the wrestlers couldn't get to the actual show.
Yes, there was travel problems, weren't there? So a lot of the stuff was changed.
Yeah, and it still didn't affect the better of the show. Vince wasn't there, so we'll have to see Raw next week when Vince is actually there. If it was just a one-time thing, or it's going to be ass going forward.
They reckon that Vince was only there the week before because of WrestleMania still had happened and it was still in the same place and Vince was there, but now that they're touring, he's not there. He's
not going to be there, so it might be back to normality, hopefully. Because obviously the Cody Brock thing was planned for ages supposedly as well. It wasn't like just a fluke out of nowhere thing. So
yeah.
Next up, we had the Alpha Academy backstage. Otis and Chad were just speaking about random crap. Here comes Maxine, and Maxine called Chad like a gremlin, which made me laugh, to be honest. And then out of nowhere, you heard in the background, Lita had been injured. So 2 weeks, 2 days, within 4 days, 2 mystery attacks that have led to someone being injured backstage.
Yep.
Becky was skeptical about the whole situation because Liv and Raquel were the person who found them, and they're going to have a tag team match with them later on in the night.
Yeah.
I'll say later in the night. Next up, so Becky's backstage and she says, I don't know what we're going to do. And then Trish basically steps forward and goes, I'll tag. And I really enjoyed this match. It was a really, really good tag team match. I rated it 3 3/4. I really, really enjoyed it as a matchup. People slated it, were saying, what it was. Trish wasn't great in it, but all 3 of the other girls were really good in it. I think if Trish was amazing as well, it would have been 4.5 for me. But it was just also they were showing that kind of Liv and Raquel, even though they're not a proper tag team, have a bit more chemistry than Trish and Becky.
Yeah.
Trish was a bit sluggish, which I don't know if it was just her in general, or they were trying to show that within the ring. There was loads of double teams and stupid amounts of near kick outs, manhandle slams, and so forth like that. But then eventually Trish kind of took the baton and lost the match for the tag team and lost the title. So Liv and Raquel.
Yeah, this is so dumb.
Yeah, because now we're going to have a feud with Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch.
It's not even that. That's not even the reason it's dumb. It's dumb because they had Becky Lynch going around saying to anyone who'd listen, who was a journalist who she interviewed with or anything like that, we're bringing Prestige to the title. And you're losing it 4 days later.
Yeah, but she did get heel turned.
There's no prestige in the bringing it to the belt though. Don't say it if it's not going to happen. Why even put it? It's dumb.
It's happened now. And then Liv and Raquel are going to bring prestige to it until Shayna Baszler and Ronda win it.
Yep, pretty much. And then it'll be hot potatoed around again.
I think Raquel and Ronda. Ronda and Shayna will have it for a decent-ish time because they're a dominant tag. They'll be like Shayna and Nia, where it's just 2 flipping dominant people having it for ages. Heyman was backstage with Kathy Kelly. He was just mocking Kathy Kelly as usual. And then he just basically said, "There's Kevin's got solo tonight, but there's no Zayn and no Riddle because they were in the flight issues." He was saying, actually, there is probably flight issues, but also they decided they didn't want any of this, so they just booked a later flight.
Yeah.
Damage Control was backstage, so it was Dakota and Io were standing outside Adam Pearce's office. Bayley comes out and she says, "You know what? I've sorted it out, so wherever the draft goes, we all go together," which I think is a good thing still.
Yeah.
And then Bayley said to give us more of an opportunity as well. Adam Pearce has given me an opportunity to number 1 contendership for the tag team titles, not tag team title, the Bianca's Raw tag. I keep saying tag team, Raw Championship. And then Io out of nowhere goes, "What do you mean? You've had so many opportunities. Give us one of the goes." And Bayley instantly kind of drops and goes, "Yeah, I'll speak to Adam and get it changed." There wasn't any kind of no, so it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Lashley versus Reed, I rated it 2.5 stars. It was just pretty much a big men hitting each other match, and ended up in a double count out, which was good for both men. Both men still look dominant, basically.
Yeah.
There's no kind of bad game about it, and I think Reed attacked him straight afterwards, and there was kind of a brawl straight after that to kind of keep it going.
Yeah.
Cody came to the ring, more of the story, and he's going to fight Roman Reigns. No, he's not. He's going to fight Lesnar at Backlash. It was a very, very, very long-winded promo.
To get to where they wanted to go, it was long.
Where we wanted it to go anyway. Usos versus Alpha Academy. I rated that 3.5 stars. Once again, a really good match on Raw. It was always going to be a good match between these, but Otis is kind of picking up the slack. It used to be Chad Gable was leading the team and Otis was just there, but because of Otis's kind of heel turn, they gave her a bit of more face turn. They gave him a bit more character. Yeah. He's actually improving. The Usos ended up winning with the 1D, but there was an amount of times where I thought the Alpha Academy were actually going to win. But yeah, the Usos came out and dropped, and Chad Gable's 8-50 on my database, so he's won 8 matches, lost 50 matches. Big up Chad Gable. Next up, we had Io Sky versus Michin. I'm still calling him Michin. And Pippa Niven. And I rated this 3 stars. It was better than the usual kind of triple threat women's tag match. Women's. I need to get rid of the word tag. I just keep saying tag. Yeah. Triple threat matches. It wasn't your typical 1 in, 1 out. Everyone was involved continuously. EO was doing some high risk moves. Meechin did a few high risk moves to Pip and Niven, which is always good to see a big girl get slammed on her head. EO Sky ended up picking up the win, and Bailey was really happy about it. So I don't know if there's going to be dissension at some point or something like that, which I can see it with EO about to win the title, maybe Bailey screwing her or something like that.
Yeah, it could go that way. Because, I mean, with the reaction of Bailey to the previous thing where it was questioned that she was getting the match, you can probably see it happening.
I'm also just worried that I'd rather Io Sky win and then feud with Bailey rather than Bianca Belair winning another person. It's kind of where she's going now.
Yeah. I'm like that anyway. Where's she going now anyway?
Yeah. And then we ended with KO versus Solo. I rated this 3 stars as well. It was... typical match where KO was kind of limping around due to his knee leg problem, but he kept one up in Solo, which is kind of bad at the same time. That if you're limping around and your leg hurts, Solo should be running through you, to be honest.
Yeah.
He ended up losing from a bit of shenanigans from the Usos. The Usos then begin to attack Kevin Owens, and out of nowhere, here comes Zayn and Riddle to save the day. So Riddle was latched onto KO's day, which I'm not looking forward to.
No.
But that was how Raw went off air.
Yeah, so like you said, it wasn't a bad Raw at all. There was a few cracking.
Yeah, match-wise, it was really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just hopefully to keep that upward trajectory going.
Definitely,
because it's tenfold better than what last week's was.
Anything I could have booked a better show with me, you, and DP.
Probably. Yeah, we could have been on screen for 3 hours and it'd have been better than Raw.
Yep, just us slating DP.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, people will pay
and then
for
getting...
that.
Yeah, you know...
We'll get Wembley Stadium. We don't need to fill it.
Just Muzzers shouting at us.
Yeah. Yeah, well, with that being said and Muzzer being brought up, we'll move on to his favourite thing, which is AEW Dynamite.
Dynamite Mark. We'll find out if he listens to this now. So we kicked off with Darby Allin versus Swerve, which cost me my match in the AEW prediction league. Yeah, I would have won if I'd picked Allin, but I picked Swerve because I completely forgot Allin was in this 4 Pillars storyline. So yeah, Allin versus Swerve. This was the match of the night straight away. We're at it 3 1/4 stars. The only thing that was a bit naff about it is that they kept kicking out of each other's finishes, which you kind of need to go via that. Allin ended up picking up the win after Nana came down, Prince Nana, and kind of stopped Swerve. Basically stopped Allin from picking up the win the first time round.
Yeah.
They did the good old spot where you grab the leg and put it on the rope, but Edwards was just looking at the leg when it was happening. Do you know, Audrey Edwards is terrible at timing. She is the worst person of you need to look away for about 20 seconds until Nana's walked off. Not just instantly, why is his hand on his leg? I'm not going to say anything about it though. It's like the same with the Jericho bat where she saw him wham someone with a bat and she just went, probably shouldn't look at that. So yeah, she needs to work on the reffing. This led to MJF coming down and having a really, really long-winded promo. I'm slightly getting bored of MJF promo-wise because what they've realised is MJF's really good on the mic. Let's just extend it and extend it and extend it and let's just have 20 minutes of him talking. It's kind of you need limits.
Yeah, it's a weekly wrestling show. It's not a podcast. Come on.
Yeah. He was just talking about his match with Darby Allin, where he actually beat Darby Allin with a headlock, if you remember, a headlock takedown, which was funny.
Yeah.
Then they just talked about each other, and then the best part of this was when Sting came down. Firstly, Tony Schiavone, it's Sting! Just out of nowhere. Sting comes down, and then MJF said something about Sting in the promo, and I can't remember what it was. But Sting went, you know what? I'm not his father figure. I'm not like a daddy. I'm more of a cheerleader. And he pulls out a pom pom, hits MJF in the head a few times, and then he pulls out another pom pom, throws it in his face, and he goes, "I got another one." Pulls it and throws it in his face again. And he was going you just basically started going on about the Wolfpack. That Flair looked like he had Flair, and Darby's got him. And then you had the Wolfpack with Sting and Hall and Nash, and then you had a bit of a Joker side to him. And he went, Showtime's nearly over, but it's not over for Darby Allin.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a thing.
He mentioned Cody as well.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the Cody thing. But he did it really coolly as well. He went Cody, and then he kind of went, "What? Get later?" And he went, yeah, I mentioned Cody. You mentioned it, and he's now gone.
Yeah.
This was followed up by I can't remember. Is Hobbs the TNT champion? He's the TNT champion, isn't he?
Yes,
He's the hot
he
potato
is.
champion.
Yeah.
It was Hobbs versus Silas Young. So they brought in Silas Young, who's a really good wrestler, Ring of Honor champ, stuff like that. Powerhouse Hobbs beat him in 43 seconds.
Okay.
Quarter of a star, really annoyed me. Really annoyed me as a match. It's like Tony Khan doesn't understand how to book jobbers. Like, he jobs out decent levels of talent that he could use at some point in his life, and he does it all the time, and it's like, why have you done this? And then Wardlow is backstage, and Hobbs' Cadillac car, he smashes up, then he gets a forklift and flips it over, and it was like, oh, okay. And then he has a brawl with Hobbs. Yeah, it was just like, come on.
Yeah.
Buddy versus Orange Cassidy. I rate this 3.25 stars as well. This was really good, but this wasn't the typical kick out, continuous kickouts. Orange Cassidy broke his hand on one of his orange punches, so he then went and hit the orange punch like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Instead of most people go, like they go, now we can hit it again. Just fucking swap arms. Hit him with the other arm. Well, your power's probably not fully into it. Yeah. But he won with the mousetrap in the end. Then they announced backstage afterwards that it's going to be Aussie Open versus the Best Friends for the New Japan titles. So Best Friends are definitely losing that.
Yep.
And then we had the promo of the night. Ethan Page in the ring. Instantly I was like, yes, this is what I want, Ethan Page. And then I forgot who was feuding with, and it was Jeff Hardy. It had Matt Hardy, and I was like, oh god. And then, because I've not been paying attention to this storyline, there was a bit in the contract that if Ethan Page lost the hook, then Hardy and Isaiah Cassidy and the Private Party would then released from the firm. Like, I didn't know this was a thing. It must have been on YouTube or something like that.
Yep.
Then Ethan Page went, you do realise there's more to the firm than just me. And then here comes Morrissey and some other guy. They attack Hardy and Private Party, and then out of nowhere, here comes Jeff Hardy, who looks the fittest I've ever seen him look, like toned-wise, and like he actually does look like he's all there. Hit a chair off both guys, hit a twist of fate and a swanton. So at the moment, it might be alright.
Give it 6 months.
Oh, don't say that. I want a good Jeff Hardy run.
Same, but we're never going to get it.
Yeah. And then there was a few also. I don't write the packages in AEW. You know, the packages where it's just vignettes, but it's like videos. I don't write about them. Yeah. There was one with J.R. Wyatt and the Bullet Club, and there was one with Luchasaurus again, and I was just like...
Yeah.
Omega was at a undiagnosed location. I think it might have been Don Callis' house. There was a weird picture in the background, like of 2 naked men, like shirtless men. And I don't know if it was Callis and Omega, or it was the Young Bucks, which is even weirder.
Yeah.
And it was basically, we've kind of got to fight the BCC at some point, and we'll come down. And then they showed the Callis injury. They showed the split in his head. It was horrible. Nice. Then we followed up with the BCC versus Nakazawa and Brandon Cutler. I rated this 1.5 stars. It was a lot better than I expected. They had the brawl before and busted both guys open. Nakazawa had some offense in there. Cutler had some offense, and then they kind of just destroyed them afterwards again. Then they started kicking the crap out of them. But here comes Omega. So Omega wasn't in an undisclosed location. He was lying. He comes to the ring, he's standing there, and then John Moxley kind of gets out and he's standing opposite him, and then the Young Bucks come out and they super kick both Claudio and Wheeler. Then they brawl. It ends up with Kenny Omega about to do the screwdriver thing to John Moxley, but Claudio pulls him out, and that's the end of that. Daniel Bryan's nowhere to be seen on this episode. Bryan Danielson.
Are we going to get Omega and Moxley again?
Yes. It's gonna be blood and guts. It's gonna be the 4 of them at some point. That's what it's gonna be. Yeah, it's gonna be Page and the Elite versus the BCC. Yeah. The Embassy was backstage. Swerve says he's got a problem with a load of people, but he's gonna sort it. Anyway, we had Outcast versus Rio and Sky Blue. I rate this 2.5 stars. The Outcasts won eventually, and then they did the same crap they've been doing for the last 8-9 weeks, just attacking the people after the match.
Yeah.
Attacking them, but then some of so they L-shaped on Rio, but then here comes Jamie Hayter as usual to run down afterwards. And then they played her music. She got involved and was attacking. And then they played Britt Baker's music, and she got involved. It was just the same thing every week. Outcasts attack someone, and then loads of faces run down every week. It's happened last 7 or 8 weeks, but don't do it in the same week that the BCC had the issue with the Elite. Literally 2 flipping 10 minutes before, and they did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. And then we had the main event, which was Keith Lee versus Chris Jericho. I rated 2.5 stars. Keith Lee is done. Like, he needs to sort himself out. He's so slow now. Just prolongingly slow. But the annoying thing is, they've set up a rivalry because Swerve came down and whammed Keith Lee, which means that they're going to have that match again continuously. Keith Lee needs to, do something cardio-wise or something like that. He's just everything's so long-winded and slow.
Yeah.
And then Adam Cole came down and did the reverse of what Chris Jericho did with Daniel Garcia. Didn't say anything to Jericho, just walked Keith Lee backstage, and that was the end of the Dynamites.
Fair enough. Doesn't sound like a great Dynamite, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, there was a couple of good matches on there, and I like the Elite BC. Even though the Michael Nakazawa match, it was a good match. It was just, I can't rate it more than 1.5 because it was just a bloody squash. But they just need to sort some stuff out.
Might be the first time in a while that WWE's had a better weekly TV match than AEW.
Yes.
Which is wild.
And it had Trish Stratus involved.
Yeah, and it had Trish Stratus in it, which is mad.
To be fair, people kind of had the opposite effect. Some people loved that match and some people didn't. Either way, the Usos versus House Academy are rated higher than anything on Dynamite this week anyway. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, even if people want to be subjective with that, WWE still had a better match. So no, that's fair enough. I'll catch Dynamite at some point over the weekend, I'm sure. Or the parts I want to see anyway. I definitely don't want to watch another MJF promo.
Talking too much.
Yeah, so I'll probably skip that, but I'll catch the matches. But yeah, I believe that brings us to the end of the show. So, have you got anything else you want to add before I start doing the plugs?
There's going to be a review of Kumite with Alton Thorne on Sunday for anyone that's seen his deathmatch work. And then following that, I'm recording on that Sunday with Gary J. So for you Americans, I've got an indie star from America who's also fighting Alton Thorne at Kumite, which is really random. That's really worked out.
Yeah, that is pretty random that this is all thrown together and fit in quite well.
And I'm somehow adding to their rivalry on Twitter, so that's good.
Yeah, exactly. We're involved. Well, you're involved.
Yeah.
But as a channel, we seem to be involved in this feud now because we are interviewing someone as part of it, and someone else is reviewing the show or previewing.
I'm going to pitch to Kumite, see if I can be special guest referee.
Oh, can you imagine? Get yourself.
Imagine if I get light tubed.
Mate, I'd pay for someone to do that.
Just send you a video. The first thing, it was just like ding, ding, ding.
Boom. Out he goes. That could be the new intro video. Rage just getting leveled with a light tube. But yeah, as always, look out for that stuff that Rach just put over with the Gary J interview and the Kumite preview that we're going to have with Alton as well. Because I'm sure there'll be a couple of things said about that match. During both. So yeah, it'll be good to keep up with that rivalry as well going into the match, and we'll obviously be reviewing the match on this channel. So keep an eye open for that. There's more interviews coming up. There's more reviews coming up. There's quizzes to be done. I believe you've got a back catalogue of them to release.
Yep. DP's going to release some game footage. I've said it live now on channel, so it has to happen.
He's under pressure. I was going to say, what have you just done? But yeah, we've got a 2K23 series that me and DP have been doing that he keeps wanting to record for, but not releasing the videos that we record. So,
and he's got
DP,
Zomboid.
Yeah,
and he's got Star Wars.
He's got Star Wars. There's all sorts of videos just waiting to go. So
hashtag him and go bring the games out.
Yeah. Just get onto him at Deep Weezy on Twitter. and just go there and just be like, look, DP, we've been promised on this podcast game footage. Where is it?
Yeah, if it doesn't, we're going to start the podcast next week with me saying this. If it doesn't come at the end of it,
absolutely, yeah, no, we'll open up next week begging for this, and eventually we'll get it. But yeah, so keep an eye out because hopefully DP will be releasing more videos soon. But like I said, like, subscribe, follow at the HCW Show on Twitter, at the HCW Show on Instagram. The HCW Show on Twitch. We've got a Facebook page now, HCW Show, where we are HCW Show everywhere. So if you can't find us, there's something wrong. But yes, keep an eye on the channel because we are releasing more stuff all the time. But yeah, from me, that is good night. And Rach's just going to wave. So yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers, guys.